Hello and welcome to another video from the Fantasy Legion. Alan Sean back again. You all right, Sean?
It's great to be back. Yeah, very good, Al. Yeah, very, very good. Exciting, getting close all the time now this season.
We
This is
are.
where it starts.
Well,
Starts mattering more and more.
This video is key information that you need to know if you're drafting, which everybody will be in the next sort of few weeks and days. We're going to go through the top 16 picks and what's been happening with them, because there's a lot going on that you need to know.
But before you do that, Al, don't forget to, we should pick up our draft guide here. So if you are doing a draft in the next 2 weeks, don't forget to, if you want to take a look at something a little independent, come and have a look at ours.
I mean, we're going to do this, splitting this into two parts, 1 to 16, and then players 17 to 32 as current ADP. Obviously, the good things like sleepers and value and stuff, all that great stuff's in our draft kit that you just mentioned. And, we knocked it out of the park last year with some of the calls. So check that out. The link will be in the description. But without further ado, we'll start at number 1 in all formats pretty much. Christian McCaffrey. He's having a good camp apparently again. You've got to be number 1.
No argument.
I mean, you picked up the only risk with him where he's got to beat out some sort of history in the NFL with people getting so many touches where they've broken
it's
down.
The curse. Yeah, it's known as the curse of 400. Maybe Christian McCaffrey, because everybody will dismiss it because all they've known is Christian McCaffrey, how great he's been over the last 2 years. I totally get that.
He has.
I totally get that. But the thing that people need to be aware of, the curse of 400 is a real thing. A bit like the Madden curse. It is real. It does happen. It occasionally players...
But is it based in any sort of fact?
Well, I think in this
more
case,
so
it's more so than the Madden one, because the 400 touches is a real thing. And often when a player has had this magical 400 touch, running back-wise, they seem to the year next, you really see a massive decline, or actually they literally fall apart. Now, maybe Christian McCaffrey, and he looks the real deal, and I'm not even going to debate that, but I just always am hesitant that this is a real thing, and maybe he's that exception to the rule. And if he goes on and does a Christian McCaffrey-like year, no problem, whatever that is, this guy's not just just for the last couple of years, brilliant, but he's in unique company then, and he is literally. There is no argument for next year. He's number 1. No argument. Until he decides not to play, he will be number 1 because he is then in special company, the very elite players.
He has to be number 1 pick overall. I mean, we had Todd Gurley. Talking about that, we had Todd Gurley, didn't we? Number 1 in 2017-18, from non-quarterbacks. And, it's taken its toll on him with his injuries, and he looks a shadow of his former self. We will get to him later in probably part 2, actually, when we're talking about the top 32. Okay, McCaffrey still has to be number 1. Saquon Barkley, he limped out of practice on Monday. They said it's minor. He didn't return. But he has returned since, I think. But it's still something you need to know about. A lot of these soft tissue injuries that these players are getting.
Well, it seems this year, I wonder if this is going to be the year of the running back. Is this the year of the running back curse? Because we seem to see a lot of running back issues already early doors. I'm not quite sure why we're seeing so many, but it's certainly getting that 2014 trend already where a lot of running back injuries are happening. So you've got to be, you're going to need them. If you're going to win, you're going to need these running backs.
And you need that bit of luck, aren't you, for them to stay?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be, in one league, as you know, and it is funny, actually, my first 3 picks are Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders, and David Montgomery. So if you want
you are killing running backs at an alarming rate.
So if you want to see, and then that, of course, affects your confidence as you go. You haven't even played yet, and you're already worried about
something. Let me destroy your confidence, Sean. Not that. I mean, that's what I'm here for.
Okay. But, I don't think it's a big issue for Saquon Barkley. I think it's precautionary. But as you say, soft tissue injuries have a tendency to linger. So just something to watch for as we move into the season. Because, it can affect how you start. And also it can affect your whole season. So you just got to watch out for it. It looks minor, but we'll just have to be careful.
Okay. Ezekiel Elliott's at 3. He hasn't had any knocks or so. I mean, he did have COVID, so it's unlikely he would get that a second time. But... hopefully none of them will. But
it's the reason I drafted. It's the reason I drafted him in one league. I was lucky to be at 3. I was happy he was there at 3, and I'm quite happy taking him because it hopefully gets around the COVID issue because he's had it. So
Well, apparently he's been improving his receiving skills apparently, but they did mention, and he's actually come out and commented about it, that Pollard will be more involved this year, and he says he likes being the bell cow, but if it's what's best for the team, then I'm happy with it. So as Magic said actually in one of his comments, that Tony Pollard could feature a lot more than people think. So that sort of rumour is flying around the Cowboys camp. So it's something you have to bear in mind. But
I think when people say this, I mean, there's plenty in that offense. They're a very, very, very high octane offense. The Cowboys offense. There's a lot of touches to go around actually, and it's a 5,000 yard air offense, let alone on the ground. So there's plenty of room in there for two players to do very, very well. Yeah. And I can easily see Zeke getting between sort of 225 and 250 touches comfortably, with Pollard getting somewhere between 70, maybe 100. There's plenty of room there. And maybe Pollard has a very nice year because playing as the complement, you can get a nice set of yards and be very useful. But
I think if anything can happen to Zeke, he's even more
then
valuable.
He's very valuable. But I don't see a big problem for Zeke. Being at 3 on the ADP all makes sense to me.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is number 4. He's obviously signed a new contract. You expect them to run the ball a lot again this year. He's dropped a few passes. They tried to get him more involved in the receiving game. He's dropped a few passes. I mean, he can do it, but maybe limit his upside in the proper PPR leagues. But
I mean, I think the problem with him is he's never really been a pass catching back, and I think that spells out in whatever way you look at him.
He has caught a few, but when he's caught a few, it's normally he's caught a screen and then ran it in. They blocked for him and he's run it in, rather than what you see from some of the better pass catches.
It's an uncomfortable skill because when you're coming out of the backfield, you've got to turn your head back towards the quarterback and position your body so you're not actually looking at the player coming at you to come and tackle you. So it's actually a really difficult skill. It looks so effortless when you see players like Christian McCaffrey do it or Kamara, but they've got very quick. As soon as the ball's in their hands, their head is swiveled back, and they're already making their first move and away.
He's a smaller bodied back, McCaffrey. I mean, a lot of the receiving backs are smaller bodied players. Henry's a bigger back. You see it with Jordan Howard as well. A lot of the bigger backs struggle in the pass catching game, don't they?
Definitely.
Some are all right, but some.
He's good value, particularly in standard. Henry at 4. There's a few players around between 4 and 7 or 8 that I like, and it just depends on the order.
Well, you say that, but let's just talk through them because this is the actual order, not your order. So, number 5, Alvin Kamara. He tore his knee in 2019 and played through it. It didn't require off-season surgery, but it's certainly not a plus. He's had to rehab the knee to get ready for this year. But obviously, when you tear a knee, the chances of tearing it again or suffering damage are obviously heightened by that. So that is a minor worry with Kamara, and you need to bear that in mind.
My concerns around him have been massive all year. He's not a player I've put or talked about. I'm just not drafting him. He's on my do not draft list. I don't go anywhere near him this year. I'm just very concerned.
You would draft him at a certain point, wouldn't you? Well, how far would he have to drop?
I wouldn't be picking him this year. That's as simple as it is. Because if I don't believe in the player...
If he dropped to 10, you wouldn't pick him?
No, if he's not on my list to pick out, I'm different than most people. If I don't trust him for the season ahead, I just won't pick him. And it doesn't matter if it's Kamara or not. It doesn't even matter if the ADP tells me to do that. I won't do it unless I think... Like if maybe at 10, maybe you've got to because you think, all right, I don't trust him, but I can trade on him. Maybe I'll do that. And I trade him before the season. Something along those lines.
You're learning there. You can flog him if you don't.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, number 6. So, it's all pretty ropey so far, and it gets worse because these are your first-round picks. You need to make these count. You can't afford failures here because it makes it so much harder to do anything if you do.
It does, yeah.
Number 6, Dalvin Cook. He's in a contract dispute.
Yeah.
They've broken off talks. That's never a good thing.
For him, it's very concerning because he's in his final year of his rookie deal, and without that contract under your belt, he's pretty much playing without a life raft. And given his injury history, I don't like it. I mean, I really don't like this at all. I mean, at what point does he is there a chance, he says, after just a few games, maybe he puts a couple of elite games together and then says, well, we can't agree on anything. I'm sitting out. Anything's possible. I don't like it.
I think there's a rule change this year that if you don't report to camp, it doesn't count as you playing a year. So they've kind of changed the rule. So sometimes reporting to the camp in the past means they're going to play all year. It's not necessarily the case this year, and that's what you need to know. I mean, I'm not saying he's not going to, but it's certainly a risk. And, this is pick 6. These picks are, you've got to get right. You've disappeared. Oh, no. Hello, welcome back. We had a bit of a technical issue there. So, Sean got cut off by Dalvin Cook because you were...
well, that's about right. He's in the rookie... We were talking about him being in his rookie contract year, and you mentioned about the new rules about players having to report for camp, but it's still a worry. And for those drafting in this year, yes, last year we predicted his breakout year, which did come, and he had a great year, ironically enough, except for the playoff weeks, which is a bit frustrating as an owner. But he was very good. He was brilliant last year, and rightly he finished inside the top 5 for running backs. This year, I'm very concerned about him. He's not on my lists, and I believe this is the year to get off the train. So I'm not interested in him this year.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to say, despite the contract dispute, although he had a great year last year, he missed a playoff week. So all 3 years, you could say that injury has sort of blighted this season, where there's obvious talent. There's obvious talent there. You can see why he's going at number 6. Right, number 7, Nick Chubb. He's already been in the league concussion protocol after getting a high tackle around the neck in training camp. So that's always a worry when a player's been in the concussion protocol already.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but you see, it's worth mentioning that our draft guide, if you want to find out a little bit more about this situation, the draft guide covers off a bold prediction, and that bold prediction really pretty much tells you what I'm thinking here. And this is before any news about his concussion and stuff. I think he's a super talented guy. I really do. I think they're going to have to use the Tennessee formula a lot, which is run the ball down the throat of the opponents. They've got arguably 2 very elite running backs here in Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And I suspect the 2, particularly Chubb getting more carries, of course, will, be very effective. But I don't think Kareem Hunt should be overlooked. I think he's going to have quite an interesting role in this team, and particularly going forward. And if another team has a running back crisis, I think Kareem Hunt is a name that could come into the frame quite quickly.
Okay, right. On to Michael Thomas. He was the standout performer amongst the wide receivers last year. He's going at ADP 8. I think, he's pretty solid. He's one of the players that's had no issues in this sort of top 10. Yeah. It's just whether, you're happy to take a wide receiver in the first round. I mean,
I think
we don't really do that. But
he is the one. He is the one you can trust. I mean, he's the guy that's going to get the 140, 150 looks. He's going to convert so many of them, maybe even 200 looks, and he's going to convert so many of them into catches. I mean, he really is pretty much the best wide receiver in the group. He is in a tier of his own. He is special, and he's worth 200 fantasy points in standard scoring. So I don't think it's an issue. So I'm happy to take him. I think 8, is probably the right range. It's 8 to 12 is normally the range because it depends on the league. It depends on your fellow drafters, whether they're running back focused, which a lot of them will be. So Michael Thomas's value can get better because he sort of falls a little bit later than 8 normally. And if that's the case, then, he's a pretty safe bet. I don't have any issues with him.
Yeah, me neither. I think that's pretty safe. Right. 9, Joe Mixon. Now,
right.
Interesting. This has gone really under the radar, but you need to know this. He is another one in a contract dispute. There's something going on there because he's missed the last few practices with headaches and migraine. But they're saying it's more to do with the contract dispute rather than the actual headaches and migraine. So that's a bit worrying. Possible holdout there as well. And a lot of people haven't been talking about this. This has gone really under the radar.
And if you couple that with, I mean, these people are very bright. They've got agents and managers and all sorts of people around them. I mean, if you look at, and you highlighted this brilliantly. Again, I don't want to say too much because it is in the draft guide. I've got to keep telling you people that have a look at it. Please have a look at that draft guide. But Al's brilliant at this strength of schedule stuff, and in there it really highlights about running backs and how tough that Cincinnati schedule is for running backs this year. Is very tough. So you talk about a contract year, a tough schedule, and somebody who's your agent, they're going to be telling you, this is a very high risk year for you. So maybe the best course of action is to hold out. So could happen. It's possible. Very possible. So very interesting. And that also dents a lot of, some aspects of the Cincinnati team in general, dents them. And probably adds a little bit more pressure to somebody like Burrows. If you ain't got a good person to hand the ball off to, that's a concern.
I mean, they've still got Gio. He's a seasoned vet, but he's probably not the player Joe Mixon, is he?
No, he's not. No.
Okay, number 10, Josh Jacobs. Brilliant first year in the league. I mean, he rushed for a lot of yards. He didn't get many catches. Now, this is probably where the upside lies with Jacobs. Does he get more catches? But our Raiders are saying, they're gonna feed him the ball. They're gonna throw him the ball. But what they actually say and what they've actually been doing, totally different things. So they've still got Richard there. They've now signed Theo Riddick, who's clear pass catching back. They've got about 4 pass catching backs, and Josh Jacobs. So they're telling you they're going to throw more to Jacobs, but what they're actually doing.
Well, I think
they've got Bowden Jr. as well. He's like a receiving running back.
I think you have to look at this as I'm always a bit more. I sometimes don't see these moves as necessarily negative. I think Josh Jacobs can do both roles. I think he can be a 3-down back, and I think last year he proved his tough. I think he proved his toughness. I don't think the Raiders had a very good schedule last year, and I think he was one of those bright spots on the team that came out and showed everybody the true grit and determination. When you're playing with it probably wasn't the most deliberating injuries that you could have, but it definitely affected him, and yet he still produced brilliant numbers as a rookie. And you think they've added some great pieces in that camp and in that team. There's some nice chemistry going on. I think he's all right. And if I'm a coach, I do want a pass catching back, not because I downgrade Josh Jacobs. It's just so that I can put both backs in and allow me other options so that the defense can't guarantee that on second and long, it isn't going to be a run because I've got Jacobs in the backfield as well, or I'm going to possibly throw to either of the 2 backs if I want to as an easy pass. So I do like it. I don't think it's a bad thing. And Theo Riddick's name does carry a lot of weight with defense. I mean, they do know he's really renowned for this now. So, when he's in the field, you have to respect it. So I like it. I think it's a good move for the Raiders to, again, open up the offense a bit more. So I'm not worried about Josh Jacobs, how it impacts him. I think he's going to do better than last year. And I think he could prove to be one of those players in that top sort of 7, maybe top 5 to 7 range for running backs when it's all said and done. So I'm very confident on him.
Yeah, I like Jacobs as well. I'd probably have him above Mixon, Chubb, and Thomas. I think maybe even Cook, just because of the risk.
Because of what's happening.
Yeah,
that's
what I see happening is worrying me. Right, number 11, and this is a guy you've been talking about since the NFL draft. CH Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Obviously, he's a rookie. That's the risk. Obviously, Kansas City running backs didn't score highly last year, but this guy is a totally different sort of player, really. Where do you see the risk with CH at 11? Do you like that price? Are you worried about him? I'm a bit more worried about him than you, I think it's fair to say.
Well, I'm very happy with him, but then when I picked him up, you could say that I took all the risk. So I'm reaping all the rewards. So when I was doing it rookie drafts, pick 2, or in certain types of drafts, best ball leagues I've taken him where at that time I did it, it would seem a high-risk move. But now it looks a lot safer because you're thinking he's going to get a decent workload. So I'm not worried about it. I think if you're picking him at 11, I think you just have to understand it's the Kansas offense. You just have to be understanding that there's a lot of pieces here. And they're all going to get certain bits to shine. It's just whether he gets enough work on a consistent basis. I still believe, like I said in the original video, even dismissing, and if you haven't seen the video, go and have a look at the one I've done on CEH, because it is quite funny, really. This is before any news on Damian Williams. I dismissed Damian Williams. I didn't have anything to do with Damian Williams because I believed the team will anoint this kid, which is what's really happened. Damian Williams could say it's COVID. Yeah. I'm fine with that. But the truth is, I think he knew he was going to lose this job. And this guy is a special, special talent. So I'm very happy with taking shares of him. I've got quite a few. But it gets more risky. This is where you have to be. This is where your skills come in. It's fine in a league where, say, a small stakes league over here in the UK, say 40, 50 quid, still decent size. but not dramatic, not £100 or $200 or not a more dramatic league. That's when you've got to weigh up whether backing the rookie is the sensible option, because that's where your all the risk is baked into price. So I'm more cautious in those leagues about taking more established names, players I feel a bit more comfortable around. But if he's there at a certain price, I won't turn him down.
Yeah, no, okay, that's fair enough. I'm a bit more wary about him, but I would take him at a certain price. Right, number 12, Devontae Adams.
Not happy with that price at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's a clear number one, though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Him and Aaron Rodgers have been teaming up as well as ever, apparently. That's been the money connection in training camp, as you'd expect it to be. He's also suffered a right leg and ankle injury during practice, so he's another guy who's had injury already. He missed time last year. I mean, it's minor. These are minor things, but they're things you need to know about. So that worries me about Adams. What do you think?
I think the risk is too high. I mean, he didn't deliver last year on his stock value last year.
He played. He was good when he played, wasn't he?
Yeah, but a first round pick in standard, you're looking at 200 points. In half point, you need 240. It's a big risk. I mean, it's a huge risk here. Green Bay are a team in transition. I don't like it. I mean, I understand it's pretty safe as a pick. It's not bad. It's not like he's not going to do okay. It's just how much he doesn't get 200 points is the key. If he misses it by 20, okay. If he misses it by 40, that's massive. And if you go any lower than 40 points you miss it by, you're in real trouble here. It's your first pick's missed. So I'm not happy with that pick. I think it's too high ADP for him, if I'm honest. And I'm not sure he can return the value.
I mean, there's a lot of risk on these first-round players.
There is.
I don't think it gets easy for now.
It's got dramatic.
Tyreek Hill's 13. He had a hamstring injury, had to leave practice. If the guy relies on speed, when he's going to be testing that hamstring to the limit. So
it's the same. It's the same thing, and
worry, isn't it?
It's a massive concern. I mean, again, can he deliver on 200 points or 240 in half point or 280 in full point PPR? The answer is probably not at that ADP. Plus, as you say, going into the season, okay, he's got a little bit more time, 2.5 weeks. Maybe for a lot of these little nicks, they're just minor nicks that are just kind of being, okay, it's a tweak, take your time, get back to full health. But until you see people playing at full speed in a full contact game, you're probably not going to know how serious these injuries really are and how lingering they are, because sometimes, I know this myself, when you play with a slight knock, but the adrenaline kicks in, you don't even notice the knock.
His hamstring is something that's going to be under strain a lot.
Oh, how fast massive, yeah. I mean, it's one thing like a quarterback gets a tweak in a hamstring, unless you're mobile, who cares? But get a tweak in your throwing arm, big deal. Same with your, main ability, big issue. So, yeah, I'm concerned at the price, and I wouldn't be paying the price at the moment. I'd be more erring on the side of other players.
Okay, 14. Elite veteran Julio Jones. He's a player that does pick up knocks, but he pretty much delivers on his numbers, 1,400 yards and
7 years. Good. 7 years in a row, good enough for nearly 1,400 yards. 7 years in a row. I mean, I think enough is enough. I mean, what do you say? The guy is special. He's in elite company. He is a Hall of Famer. When he hangs up the shoes, I will say no need to back him anymore. But at this point, he's safe. Even in first round drafts.
Shoes, Sean? That's what I want to know. When he hangs up his cleats.
Hang up his cleats. He'll hang up whatever he could play in slippers, that guy, as far as I'm concerned, and still be safe. So, no, he's as good as, he's the safest another safe wide receiver. Like, if you took a chance on any wide receiver in the first few, okay, say he fails to deliver a little bit. When you're getting 1,400 yards and 6 or so touchdowns, it's pretty close to 100.
How many catches? 110, 120?
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking half point and 4 point PPR, there's no issue taking him. And if you're talking standard league, okay, maybe he slightly falls short 200 points, but no problem. Safe as chip. He's one of the safest players.
Okay.
Happy with him.
Number 15, Miles Sanders, week to week.
This is a worry.
Easy first-round picks.
I've got him. I picked him in a live league. I mean,
how worried are you? How worried?
Very. Yeah, being honest. I mean, look how many of the players. Being serious. There's no point lying about this thing. You've got to be honest. I mean, week to week, we saw how many week to week players last year didn't have a good year. Didn't have a good year at all. So until he's back at camp, or actually having played a game, and I look at him and go, he looks fine, I'm going to be worried. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I know he's playing, I'll put him in, but I'm still going to be hesitant. I'm going to be thinking, what's happening here? So he's not a player right now, today, if I'm drafting, I can trust. I can't trust picking him.
Right. Okay.
Times have moved on. It's now more risky.
I really wanted to pick him as well. I really want to pick him.
I did.
I don't know if I can now. I mean, he's such a good player, but the week-to-week injury does worry me. But
absolutely,
I would take him at a price. Okay.
Yeah.
This is serious stuff, isn't it? For this, all these top players have got nagging down, nagging doubts about them. Number 16, finishing the first part, because we will do.
The
32. Aaron Jones. Obviously, they got AJ Dillon in the draft. The bloke's built like his thighs are like, Chris Hoy's.
Tree trunks.
So big.
Yeah, tree trunks. Yeah, he looks tough.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean he's a good player, but he's going to be.
Well, I mean, look, the guy. The thing is the thing is the team are in transition. I keep saying this. Aaron Jones, the only way is down. I mean, you're not likely to repeat on these 19 touchdowns.
I don't think it's a quick transition. I don't think it's something that's going to happen overnight. I mean, apparently Bryce Love's been having all sorts of problems in camp. He's had a really bad camp, and they big up every sort of player at this time of the year. Everyone's going to be the next second coming. This guy's been getting slaughtered. Accuracy issues, all sorts of issues. So,
well, again, I mean, but there are, the thing is that the seeds. What's the old saying? You set your course, that's it. Your path is set. I mean, the thing with Green Bay is the moment you traded up the board, Rodgers has the writing on the wall, and not only that, he doesn't care now whether Bryce Love is, struggling in camp. Rodgers can say anything he likes about. Green Bay's my future, is where I'm going to stay. But the truth of the matter is, next year, a lot of teams are going to come in and make some serious noises and waves to try and attract him to come over. And I wouldn't be surprised he went, because, you set your course, Green Bay. So, and the same rules apply for Aaron Jones, because they picked AJ Dillon and they paid the price to get him. So don't be surprised that they put him in a bit. I mean, it won't be a lot, but it will impact him this year, and we'll definitely see a decline in his stats. So,
could you see Rodgers, this hypothetical, this is coming to my head, don't know why, it's not based in any truth, but, we saw Brett Favre, when he left Green Bay, go to a rival in Minnesota. Could Aaron Rodgers go to Chicago? Because they've got QB issues. Would he do that?
Yeah. Yes, he could. Yes, he could. And because, you see, when you're a quarterback, I'm sorry to say, but it's true, there is a certain amount of ego that will come in. And it's got to. It comes with the turf. It comes with the turf of believing that you're good. And if you feel slighted, if you feel, damaged in some way, and it's very rare quality of a quarterback that you don't see. And I think the only one I can remember where he kind of handled everything the right way was Kurt Warner, but he'd been through a lot. So as a quarterback, he was stacking shelves at 27. So for him, any break in the NFL was amazing, and to do well was just exceptional. So he handled all these things so differently than any other quarterback. But for most of them, they'll have a point to prove. And it wouldn't surprise me that he goes against Green Bay twice a year to ram that point back home. Wouldn't surprise me.
I know, that's what I
would
thought.
Not surprise me.
Well, sorry, Green Bay.
That's your top 16.
Hypothetical for Green Bay fans.
That's your top 16. Happy hunting.
Are you happy with Aaron Jones at 16?
No, I'm not. No. You see, now the sea changes come quick, because, we're already... I wasn't happy with him anyway. I just think the price is too high, and I just think the regression in numbers is massively coming. So I'm very concerned. I think he's okay.
Yeah, but I think he was like running back 3 or something last year. So even if he was,
we had him on our bold prediction list last year. He was and he was a huge breakout for us. But this year, again, I'm being very, very cautious. I don't believe in his case that. I just think there's something more at play about Green Bay, and they seem a team in transition. Their coach is modelling the team more to his way of thinking. I mean, we saw that in the way they tried to control the clock. And don't forget that when you say, about AJ Dillon, they were a running-based team primarily last year, and I think they're going to rotate AJ Dillon in a bit more than people think. So it's going to dilute Aaron Jones's numbers a bit more than people
Jamal Williams.
think.
Actually, Jamal Williams had like a third of the carries last year, even still.
He did, yeah. And they'll be looking to do something similar again, because they want to keep fresh legs. So,
exactly.
bit worrying.
Okay, well,
there's your top 16.
That's the top 16. There's only about 10 of them have got big doubts about them. So good luck with that. With that minefield.
Yeah.
At least you know about them. You can make your mind up whether you think you're worried enough about them to, pick somebody else. Really, whether the risk is there. So if you enjoyed the video, please give a thumbs up. Subscribe for more, and if you want to support the channel by buying one of our draft guides, the link's below.
Please click the bell.
And we'll see you next time.
See you on the next one.